In 2010, 1,000 earthquakes shook the state of Oklahoma. Last year, that number jumped to 1,400. Before 2010, the annual average number of earthquakes was 35. Scientists are searching for the reason for the increase. I spoke with StateImpact Oklahoma's Joe Wertz about a controversial study that could link Oklahoma's earthquake outbreak to disposal wells. Joe, why do some researchers think that earthquakes and injection wells are linked?
Well, they think they might be linked, first off, because of proximity. We are seeing an increase in earthquake activity near, in places where there are a lot of these disposal wells. And it also has to do with the fault lines. There's fault lines in these areas and disposal wells, and they're seeing earthquakes. So researchers are starting to kind of put the numbers together.
There are thousands of injection wells in the state of Oklahoma. Right. Could it just be coincidence?
Well, it could be coincidence, and that's where it gets tricky. I mean, there's thousands of these things all over the place. So any event in Oklahoma is near a disposal well. If you found a dead turtle in the middle of a field, it's probably near a disposal well. So it does get tricky. But, you know, some of the patterns of these wells and where they see the earthquakes seem to really line up with the disposal wells when you look at them on a map. The timing is suspicious, and there's really a growing consensus, not only here in Oklahoma, other states like Arkansas, Ohio, Texas. These are places that you don't normally get these types of earthquakes and this type of activity. So this is really going on in a lot of places.
Have they been doing this research for a long period of time? What are they relying on?
Well, they've known for a long time that disposal wells can cause earthquakes. That's been pretty well established back to the 60s. So they know they can, they know they have. It's really tricky to say that any one earthquake was caused by any specific disposal well. They may never actually be able to say that. But the earthquakes in Oklahoma, they have been researching for a while. There's been suspicion for a couple of years now. And the uptick really started in 2009, 2010, and they've been out there kind of looking at it. But only recently have they really been putting, you know, extra sensors out there to really get into it.
There are researchers, however, that do not agree with this hypothesis. What are their concerns?
Well, their concerns are it is hard to prove. It's hard to prove that, you know, any one earthquake was caused by any one disposal well. All of the researchers, the skeptics and the ones that, you know, really do believe it, all say that they need more data. A lot of that data is not available. It's not available because they're not required. The operators of these wells aren't required to record certain measurements underground and give it up. So everybody says they need more data, but the skeptics, you know, just say that we don't know enough.
Is there any way to differentiate between what might be a man-made earthquake and one that would occur naturally?
Well, that's the real question. That's what they're really trying to figure out, and they hope they can figure it out. I mean, the consensus is really growing that there is a link between some of these disposal well activities and earthquakes. So they're getting more and more. You know, it's increasingly likely, at least the seismologists we talked to, that there is a link. Some holdouts, but they're getting fewer and far between.
What is the upshot here? If a link is proven, then what does it mean?
Well, it's hard to, you know, an upshot of an earthquake, but I mean, if a link is proven, they could study it more. It's easier to get money to study it. It's easier to get access to study it. If there is a link, it might be, you know, easier to convince these companies to turn over some of this data that the researchers need to study it. It might be easier to get the Corporation Commission, the drillers, the operators, and the researchers all together to study this issue. And that's really what the seismologists say needs to happen. They can't do it on their own. The companies, there's liability issues, of course. They're worried about doing it on their own, and the oil and gas regulators are worried about, they don't want to, you know, they don't want to hamper any of the activity. So whatever it'll take to get everybody on the same page, studying the issue together.
How much are oil and gas producers contributing to this conversation now?
Well, it's hard to know. They're really not talking much. We have done a series of stories, and they wouldn't talk to us about it. The disposal well operators themselves wouldn't talk to us about it. So it's hard to know exactly. It's safe to assume, I mean, a lot of these are big companies. Some are small, but it's safe to assume that they are studying it because it could impact, you know, their business, their bottom line. It also could impact people, and these companies are obviously, you know, not in the business of doing things that cause damage to buildings. But all the seismologists say they assume that these companies are researching it because, you know, these companies are very well equipped. They've got lots of people to study this issue, but we just don't know.
And StateImpact is looking into this nagging question here in Oklahoma and also in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, well, Texas especially, you know, we're seeing more of it in Texas and Pennsylvania, but our StateImpact Texas crew has been monitoring it down there, and they've had lots of suspicious earthquakes down in Texas, too.
Joe Wertz from StateImpact Oklahoma.
Thank you, Dick.